Hi, and greetings from the Capitol. This is another weekend review video just to catch you up on some of the things that are going on and stay in touch. I thought this week it might be a good opportunity to talk about the Safe and Supportive Schools Act. It's an issue that's gotten a lot of attention broadly. It's an issue that I've been very involved with in my role on the committees for education. And it's also an issue that is really significant to me in a lot of different ways. I am a mom. I'm a mom of a 13-year-old in 7th grade, so I live with a lot of these school-age issues very closely. In addition, I was a PTA leader for many years, and so I got to watch some of these things really happen in action and watch how schools and school administrators and districts really sort of tried to grapple with this issue. And that's part of what has made me very passionate about getting involved in this issue and helping to work to make this bill be really successful, because ultimately it's all about the students. That's the part that matters to all of us. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I've gotten a lot of emails and a lot of calls and had some meetings and questions at town halls, and I thought this might be an opportunity to address a few of the areas of confusion, I would say. There's been some old information that came out from really old versions of the bill. There's also been some misinformation of things that just aren't in the bill, and I thought this might be a good chance to just do a quick little recap on some of the big ones that I keep hearing about. First and foremost, I want to be really clear about something. This bill protects all students. And this is so important to me. Like I said, in my life as a mom and as somebody who has worked with kids in schools, I wouldn't support this bill if it didn't protect all students. It says so explicitly in several places in the bill, and then it does have this added thing that is part of what's gotten the attention called enumeration, which is pretty standard in certain types of legislation, and that's why it's being used here. And the way I like to think of it in this context is it's saying that yes, we're acknowledging we're going to protect all students, but it's just a specific reminder to say, and by the way, that does include these types of students as well. And it specifies on the basis of race, ethnicity, religion, socioeconomic status, disability, to name just a few. There are a number that are listed. I won't go through them all, but it's important to remember it does protect all students, and it just reminds people involved that yes, these types of students are included too, among all students. So that I think is really important for clarification. Another one that is very personal to me is the issue of parental notification. Again, going back to the fact that I used to be a PTA leader and had these conversations in schools on a regular basis, I used to run across stories, and still do, about parents who find out through sort of random ways that their kids have been involved in bullying incidents, where one mom gets a call from another mom because her kid is upset watching the other kid having a hard time. These calls should come from the schools, and that's why I very early on spoke up and advocated for stronger language to make sure that parental notification was a much greater expectation in the legislation. And so that's where we are now. The current bill definitely creates a standard that requires local district policies to presume parental notification for all students involved. Now, where some of the questions come up is that it carves out an exception for administrators to use just a little bit of discretion in very specific cases. This already exists in statute. We're just reiterating it in this bill. And these are the cases where administrators look at a situation and say, if we go talk to this kid's family, it might put this kid in harm's way in a variety of different ways. I think it's important that these administrators have the flexibility to take care of these kids and keep their best interests at heart. These are absolutely rare exceptions that already exists in current law, but that's why it's just sort of laid out there as that kind of an exception. But the presumption for parental notification is there, and it's very important to me. And the last one I want to talk about is something that's gotten a lot of attention, and I would call these curriculum concerns, that this bill somehow is mandating certain curriculum, certain books, certain material be communicated. No, absolutely not. That is not the case. The state doesn't mandate any of these kinds of materials or specific curriculum requirements across the board, and this bill is no exception. These are issues of local control. Parents can work with their school boards and their administrations to talk about what kind of materials they think are appropriate in their schools. But this bill is absolutely silent on that matter. It doesn't address it because it's not part of the concern. I think those are sort of the big three that I've heard a lot about. I'm always available to try to answer questions if there are other questions about these issues. We will be debating the bill in the Senate tomorrow on Thursday, and it'll be a long and robust debate talking about a lot of these issues. But what I think is wonderful about all of it, when I think about all the emails and the calls and the visits and the meetings, people really care about our kids. We all do. Some of these concerns come from a real place of care. But I think it's important that we just remember that we keep the interests of and our well-being of our students first. And that's why this is so important to me. Thank you so much.